it started from the fact that after John died, I spent quite a lot of time in my heart of hearts thinking he was going to come back, because it's so unreal when somebody dies or disappears, or you're divorced or something and they've gone out of your life. I didn't believe it, and then I suddenly really did know that I was on my own, and I thought, well, come on, what am I going to do now? And I kept remembering a Quaker thing saying live adventurously. So I pulled myself together and I got offered an article for the Daily Mail about travel, and I thought what I'll do is I'll travel on my own and write about it. And that was the beginning of a series of journeys, both in my own head and physically, which I began to write down. Because I got thousands of letters from the previous book, The Two of Us, where people seemed to be touched by the fact that I was talking about grief and bereavement, I wanted to illustrate to those people that actually there's another stage that you can go to where life gets a lot better. And I think that was right at the very back of my mind. It wasn't my motivation, because I wouldn't presume to tell people how to live their lives, but I hoped they might pick up on the fact that you actually can have a very, very good life on your own and when you get older. I'm not a very educated person. I left school when I was 15. I didn't go to university or anything like that. But I've always loved language. And in fact, I use poetry in this book, and I hope other people will appreciate the things that I love about the passages that I've chosen. And yeah, the difficulty of it was trying to write well as I can. I'm not pretending to be a literary writer, but I just wanted to write as well as I possibly could. Whilst I was writing the book, or just before I started writing the book, I did a program called Who Do You Think You Are? And I discovered that I had German ancestors. And I was quite shocked with myself, because I realised that I didn't like that idea. And I suddenly examined it and I thought, I have spent my whole life with this terrible dislike of Germans. And I thought, why have I got that? And why am I racist towards this country? And I suddenly realised it was to do with my childhood, because I'm a wartime child and I lived through the war, and I was bombed and I was evacuated and all of those things. And I thought, I need to examine this. And for that reason also I needed to go to Berlin, which was the first time I've ever been to Germany since the war, because it was something I didn't really want to do. And I was so glad I did, because it totally got rid of this rather nasty, dark bit in my brain. But it also, I think it made me realise that I am a bit fearful in life, and possibly that stems from the early years of my life being a pretty scary time. And I think that I have that in common with an awful lot of people who lived through the war. Well, what I enjoyed about writing it was doing the journeys, because it was a wonderful motivation to drive me away. I went to Thailand, I went to Italy, I went to Venice, I went to my house in France, obviously, and Budapest and Berlin, and so I enjoyed the journeys. And I enjoyed being on my own, and that was the biggest lesson that I learned from writing the book, that actually you can have a wonderful time on your own, and you can observe more, and you can do more adventurous things if you're not got to worry about the kids and your husband and all those people who are grumbling with you. So that was a marvellous liberation, and it took me a long while to get there. When I started, I was very scared and didn't know what to do with myself. Going into restaurants and travelling and lifting my bag into the rack in aeroplanes and all that was a major hazard. Now, piece of cake.